Beneath the ordinary world lies a veil, and behind it, the voices of the lost still whisper.
We are your guides into the shadows, where true crime meets the paranormal.
From chilling crimes to haunted histories, we uncover the stories that refuse to rest.
This is Veil of Echoes. Columbus, Ohio, April 1st, 2006. A crowded college bar. Music spilling into the street. Students celebrating the end of winter quarter. Security cameras recorded nearly everyone who passed through the doors that night. But one man appears only once. 27-year-old Brian Shaffer walked into the bar with friends shortly before closing time. He was seen laughing, talking, standing near the entrance. Then, sometime before 2 a.m., Brian Shaffer vanished. No one saw him leave. No security camera recorded him exiting. His phone stopped ringing. His bank account was never used again. And despite years of investigation, no trace of him has ever been found. This is Missing Veil Files. Case File, Episode 5.
This series is researched and narrated by Bria, Zach, and Lindsay, hosts of the Veil of Echoes podcast.
Missing Veil Files exist to keep names spoken when the world grows quiet, to honor the missing, and to stand with the families still searching for answers. If there is a case you believe deserves to be told, you can reach us through the Veil of Echoes podcast on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook.
This case does not begin on a quiet road or deep in the woods. It begins inside a crowded bar with music playing, friends nearby, and dozens of witnesses. This case file concerns the disappearance of Brian Randall Shaffer. Brian Shaffer was born on February 25, 1979. He grew up in Pickerington, Ohio, just outside Columbus. Friends described Brian as intelligent, social, and easygoing. He loved music, he played guitar, and he enjoyed spending time with friends. At the time of his disappearance, Brian was a second-year medical student at Ohio State University. He was working toward becoming a doctor, but the months leading up to his disappearance had been difficult. Just weeks earlier, Brian's mother had died after a battle with cancer. Those close to him said the loss deeply affected him. Still, Brian continued attending school and spending time with friends. He was 27 years old.
At the time of his disappearance, Brian Shaffer was approximately 6 foot 2 inches tall. He weighed around 165 pounds. He had brown hair and hazel eyes. He was last seen wearing a green olive long-sleeve shirt, a white t-shirt underneath, blue jeans, tennis shoes. These details matter. They are often the last confirmed pieces of someone's story.
On the evening of March 31st, 2006, Brian met with his father to discuss plans for a spring break trip to Miami. Later that night, Brian went out with his friend William Clint Florence. The two visited several bars in the Arena District of Columbus. Eventually, they arrived at a popular bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona. The bar was located on the second floor of a shopping complex known as South Campus Gateway. To reach the bar, patrons had to ride an escalator or climb a staircase leading to the main entrance. Security cameras monitored that entrance.
At approximately 1:15 a.m., Brian Shaffer was captured on a security camera entering the complex with Clint Florence. The footage shows Brian briefly speaking with two women near the entrance. Moments later, he walks towards the escalator and into the bar. This would become the last confirmed video footage of Brian Shaffer alive. Inside, The bar was crowded. Music was loud. Friends later said Brian appeared to be in a normal mood. He drank, he talked with people, and moved around the bar. Closing time approached.
Shortly before closing time, Clint Florence stepped outside to speak with friends. When the bar closed around 2 a.m., Clint realized Brian was no longer with him. He attempted to call Brian's phone. There was no answer. Clint assumed Brian had left with someone else. But Brian never returned home.
Investigators quickly reviewed security footage from the complex. The cameras clearly showed Brian entering the building. They also captured dozens of people leaving the complex when the bar closed. But Brian Shaffer was never seen exiting. Investigators reviewed the footage again and again. They could not find a single frame showing Brian leaving through the main entrance. Adding to the mystery, investigators later discovered that a small gap existed in the security recordings. A brief window of approximately 10 seconds where the camera footage was not recorded. Some investigators believe Brian could have left during that gap, but there has never been confirmation that he did. For investigators, the question remains, how does someone enter a crowded bar surrounded by cameras and never appear leaving?
At the time Brian disappeared, parts of the building were undergoing construction and renovation. Behind sections of the bar and the surrounding complex were service corridors, stairwells, and restricted construction areas. Some investigators believe Brian may have left through a construction exit that was not covered by security cameras. But those exits did not lead into busy streets. They led into back hallways, loading areas, and service corridors. Places where very few people would have been walking at 2 o'clock in the morning. If Brian entered one of those areas, it is possible he walked into a space where no cameras were recording.
In the days following Brian's disappearance, friends and family repeatedly called his phone. Each call went directly to voicemail. Then months later, something unusual happened. One of Brian's friends called his phone again. This time, the call rang several times before going to voicemail. Investigators attempted to track the signal, but the phone stopped responding before it could be located. Brian's phone has never been recovered.
Over the years, several theories have emerged regarding Brian Shaffer's disappearance. Some investigators believe Brian may have left through a construction exit not covered by cameras. Others believe he may have encountered foul play after leaving the bar. A more controversial theory suggests Brian may have voluntarily disappeared to start a new life. But investigators have found no financial activity, travel records, or confirmed sightings to support that idea. Despite years of investigation, no explanation has ever been confirmed.
Brian Shaffer has been missing since April 1st of 2006. His case remains open. No suspects have been charged. No confirmed sightings have ever been verified.
In 2008, Brian's father died after being struck by a falling tree branch during a storm. He passed away without ever knowing what happened to his son.
That's so sad. Because not only did his wife died, and then a few weeks after that, their son disappears.
And then he dies by being struck by a tree.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys? What do you think? I mean,
Dude was unlucky all the way around. I feel bad for this guy.
Yes.
Yeah, because...
I mean, it makes sense, like, with the construction area, there isn't, like, a little area you could get out of. I don't know.
Being drunk and being... Well, it doesn't ever say he was drunk, but it says he was drinking.
Right.
Yeah, may have become disoriented and landed somewhere he shouldn't have been.
Especially 2 stories up in a construction area. But then again, they would have found him if he would have fallen in the building. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I only say maybe because that story that came out where they found somebody that's been missing for years, like behind a fucking, refrigerator or something in a restaurant?
Yes, I remember that. And they found,
yeah.
Like he apparently
So
might
it's
have
like-
fell back there while he was cleaning. And you guys didn't think to check for him?
And this place is this place still?
Yeah, when
Ugly
it comes to
Tuna
situations
Saloona.
like that, I'd fucking...
Ugly Tuna Saloona bar.
The bar.
Well, like, what if he is somewhere still in there? You know, I don't know.
It could be like echoes in a stir of echoes, and could have been buried in the wall.
Or trapped or something. Got trapped somehow.
Stir of
if they were
Echoes is
doing
a
construction.
fucked up movie.
Brian Shaffer walked into a crowded bar on a spring night in Columbus. He spoke with friends, he laughed, he ordered drinks, and somewhere between the entrance and the closing bell, he disappeared. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Brian Shaffer, you can contact the Columbus, Ohio Police Department. Even the smallest detail could matter.
Thank you for holding a space for Brian's story. Missing Veil Files will return every other Saturday, taking the time these cases deserve.
Until then, keep your ears open.
And the veil closed.